We're a wildlife and conservation media company built around telling real stories from the wild. We believe in showing nature honestly, celebrating the wins, acknowledging the challenges, and helping people understand what's really happening out here. We make documentaries, we create conservation storytelling and marketing, and ultimately, we want our work to make a difference. Oh yes, our expertise is live, live, live. From the outside, it can look like we're just out here having fun in the bush. And yes, there are incredible moments, but behind every story is purpose. That's why being part of Safari Guide of the Year means so much to us. Guides are often seen as the people that drive the vehicle or just find the animals, but there's so much more to being a guide. Guides are educators, they're storytellers, and they're ambassadors for the wild. And they are the people creating a meaningful connection between humans and the natural world. They work incredibly hard and deserve to be celebrated.
Welcome to another evening of live storytelling around the campfire. We are here at the Klesuri Drift Amani, and what an absolutely interesting and learning day it has been. So this morning we got up a little earlier, which I think a lot of us appreciated after a very busy week, and we set off for our finalists to be assessed on the advanced rifle handling. Now, advanced rifle handling, or otherwise known as ROH, is not just about shooting. It's about guides being assessed on safety, on their discipline, on competence, and do they remain calm under pressure. You see, guides in working in sort of these conditions, on foot particularly, can encounter dangerous game, and a rifle can be used as a tool to avoid conflict as the last resort. One particular highlight for me was watching James Stain here actually give us a demonstration of one of the, what would you call it, James? It's called the hop, what's it, the hop? Haley's hop, right? And what was fascinating is how James held that rifle. Guys, if you could see this, it was like an extension of his arm, that barrel. And the control was fascinating. Definitely not something I can do, but I definitely respect all our finalists who did so exceptionally well today. So we got back, and later on I set off with Roger from Canon, and Sarah had her photographic safari, and I saw Patrick and the team go out on their guided bush walk. So without further ado, our next and final finalist is coming up for his live storytelling. So I'd like to welcome up Otto Screbante. Hey, did I do it right?
You did it right. The practice paid off.
Gosh. Guys, I was literally sitting there and I'm like, Screbante. You said your family said really differently.
My family is Afrikaans, so they say it's Scribanti, but it's Italian originally, so yeah, very different.
So it's definitely like a song and a dance around the fire kind of story, all right? So I clearly am doing this a lot this week, where I'm asking questions that interfere with people's stories. I'm hoping tonight it's really, really different. Otherwise, it might be a tad embarrassing for me. So, Otto, I did a little bit of research about you as well. And I've got two really big boys, and they tend to come home with a lot of bugs and snakes and scorpions and things as well. Real bush kids. And apparently you used to do the same.
I used to bring about a whole bunch of stuff. I know that there was a whole bunch of things that I was allowed to play with and not allowed to play with, and my mom was quite strict in a lot of cases, so I've actually, from a very young age, caught snakes in the house, but the the first one I caught, I had to hide quite well, sort of in one of my clothes drawers, because I knew I was going to be in a lot more trouble from my mom than if anything had to happen with the snake. Yeah.
So on that, my question to you is, do you think great guides are born curious, or is curiosity something that can be learned?
I think being born curious is probably a big factor out of it, but I think it also depends on where and how kids pretty much play around, and just, are they outside kids or they inside kids? And I think natural guides probably just gravitate towards it like it's always supposed to be.
Absolutely. I actually see a lot of us even on various assessments. We'll see like a bird or a bug. It's like, what's that? I think just this morning we had these spider webs and I was like, what spider web is that? And it was a 10 spider. It was absolutely fascinating. So everything, yeah, there's so much curiosity out there. My last question to you tonight is, you once said that sometimes the things that matter most are the things we put off the longest. So for anyone watching who might be hesitating to follow a dream, what would you tell them?
Just do it. There's not going to be a good time. There's not going to be a bad time, whether it's now, whether it's in 5 years. Just do it now, get it over and done with, and it might just turn out to be the best decision you've ever made.
I love that. So, ladies and gents, here's Otto. Do you want this connected?
Please.
Oh, gosh. I thought by now I'd be pretty good at this, but not really. Should we put it like over here? Please don't fling it off.
I'm going to try my best. Cool. So, I think for most guides in the industry, when they start or at some point in their career, something that we probably fear the most, because we are all human, is that at some point in time there might be a situation somewhere in our career where, for some weird reason, we may not actually be able to show up for our guests. They're ready for an activity, they're ready to get on the car, and we're just not there. Most guides are lucky enough where that never realizes. I will tell you about the day when I showed up for guests and I got one funny look at them and they realized that I was not in a state to take them out. So, in my guiding career, sort of my first year working on Christmas Day, so that was a lovely Christmas surprise for them. Rocked up at the lodge in uniform, dressed. It was a place where we as the guides had to prepare the vehicles, wash the vehicles, basically pack the hot boxes. We didn't have trackers or any assistance. Everything was up to us. And showed up to the lodge to go and meet our guests just before game drive. And myself and a colleague, we heard this sound coming from in front of the lodge. There was a river flowing in front of the lodge that was quite well known for extremely big crocodiles. And we both got very curious, looked at our watches and realized we probably had about half an hour to play with. We rocked up early, had about half an hour to play with, and we decided to go and investigate. There was a very thick section of bush between the lodge and the river, and we went bundu bashing a little bit to get to the edge. And the sound was quite incredible, actually. It was a shriek, it was a scream, it was, I don't know what to put with it. It was a strange bubbling sound at the back of it. We couldn't put one and one together. Basically got to the edge of the river. There was an electric fence. The sound went quiet. We were assured that the electric fence was switched off. This is luckily not where that story is going. So we climbed over the electric fence, went and stood on the edge of the river, looking down, and here was this 6-foot drop to the edge of the river, or to the water level. We could not see anything. It was just quiet. It was calm, it was tranquil. And the next thing, there was this bubbling below our feet, and up pops these little weird periscope with 2 little holes in the end, and this 6-month-old elephant basically pops its head out of the water and up the bank, and it gives out this almighty scream. And the scream lasted for probably 5-6 minutes, and it was very clear that the water was too deep. This elephant could not actually keep its head above water, and it just was this extremely long, piercing scream and bubbling at the end as it sank back down. Being guides and having had the training, we kind of immediately, my mind went to, this is not okay. I started scanning around. Couldn't see any sort of sign of any breeding herd anywhere. Couldn't see a sign of the mother anywhere or the herd or anything. And by this time, before we got there, before we got to the lodge, we asked the front of house staff how long the screaming has been going on for. And they told us for at least an hour and a half. So this baby elephant had been in the water for at least an hour and a half. We could only really see the head, only see the trunk, and the head was about this big. So you can kind of imagine this tiny little elephant. This is probably where I made one of the dumbest mistakes in my life, and I've made many. I saw this 6-foot drop. One of my colleagues grabbed my hand. I stepped over the ledge. I saw a big root coming out of the bank. I stepped on the bank, and I managed to convince myself that I can pull this elephant out. I waited, and I waited. Periscope came up. I grabbed the elephant's trunk. It gave a scream that echoed through my whole body. It was quite incredible, actually. It's a scream that I will never, ever forget. And as the elephant sank again, I got pulled. Colleague gave away because he was going to come in with me, and the root snapped out of the bank. And I ended up chest deep in this water. And I was stuck. There was a steep bank. There was an elephant. My first thought was, grab the elephant. I managed to prop my leg up on the bank and put, like a proper Captain Morgan, prop the elephant over my leg. And my main mission was to keep this elephant's head above water. It did not work. An elephant is not the shape and as soft and as fluffy as you think they are. They are extremely stiff. It might as well have been a wooden carving. Their backs don't bend, they don't flex. And as I had my leg up and this elephant over my leg, it would basically just tilt forward or backwards. And every time its head popped up, it would have its head right by my ear, and it would give out this almighty scream. My ears ringing. I couldn't hear what the people were saying up on the bank. Couldn't hear what they were screaming, and my main mission was to keep this elephant up. This elephant would fall off my leg, under the water, bubbles, bloop, 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 like a big jacuzzi that I was sitting on. And then I would have this sort of 20 seconds or 30 seconds to basically try and figure out in my head, what now? And I had this sort of thought coming through my head of, this is a fairly bad idea. I'm standing chest deep in the water. There's no way for me to get up this bank. It is infested with crocodiles. There's been splatter and crashes and commotion in the water for the last hour and a half. I don't know where the crocodiles are. They probably know where I am. And I've got nothing to do. I can't bail on it because there's no way for me to get out. We managed to get a hold of the maintenance team, who went and fetched tow ropes and tow straps from the vehicle. And our mission was to hoist this elephant up onto the bank, because at least I had to be hoisted up and might as well get the elephant as well. They dropped the tow straps down. I made a loop around the belly of the elephant, and I pushed up. It's very funny being basically the stepping stool for an elephant. I pushed up with a strap around the belly, and the feet of this elephant was literally fitting in the palm of my hands as I was pushing up. They do not balance well in a sling, just to say that. Every time I would push up, this elephant would tilt out of the sling, and it would flop down back into the water, screaming in my ears. There is no words to translate how this elephant sounded, and the sound that came out of this little chunk of meat, pretty much. So I pushed up, they pulled, and after about probably about 4 or 5 attempts, we managed to get this elephant up on the bank. Take into consideration, all of us were completely and totally winded. We had no energy left. I stood in the river pretty much with no energy, leaning my back against the muddy bank and against the wall. And my colleagues were pulling this elephant up on the strap. By this time, maintenance team was there. We were about 4 people up on the bank and myself in the river. And this elephant had basically been drowning for the last 2 hours at this stage. It got up, it flattened the electric fence, and it went running into the lodge grounds. They dropped the tow strap down, they pulled me up, and by the time we got up, we realized now this elephant was in an enclosed space. And we didn't know where, because it had been running for the last 2 minutes that it took me to get out. I think that's quite generous to say that it took me only 2 minutes to get out, but that's fine. So basically walked up to the lodge. We found this elephant huddling underneath the deck of the lodge. And the only way we found it was basically following the screams and the echoes. We finally managed to figure out that we had to escort this elephant out of the gate, and this is where the real fun started. We called in absolute panic that there was an elephant in camp, and the baby part got lost somewhere along the line. And the next moment, 2 other guides rocked up with rifles, running around, trying to come and sort this elephant out if there was a case. And what this guy found was basically a tow strap around a baby elephant that was pulling 4 of us on our bellies across the red soil. We were literally being pulled in tow by a baby elephant that's been drowning for 2 hours and still had enough energy that 4 of us could not hold it down. It was an amazing lesson in how densely packed with muscles these little things are and how incredibly strong they are. We didn't know what to do with this elephant. It was chaos. It was, I mean, we did a lot of things wrong. Don't think there was a lot that we did right. But we managed to finally tackle this elephant, and 4 of us sat on top of it until we could figure out what it was and what to do with it. And you can kind of imagine this scene of an elephant. I think at some point in time, somebody took their shirt off, draped it over the eyes of the elephant just to try and keep it calm, because this is what we'd seen on TV. We hadn't been guiding very long. And this elephant would literally, with no effort at all, just stand up. Baby elephant, 4 of us on top of it, and basically just stand up and keep running. And after a while, we managed to get it escorted out of the gate, basically ran off. And for about 20 minutes, we could hear this elephant screaming and crying as it was running in a direction of we don't know where. After about 20 minutes, it went silent. I guess we'll never know where the elephant ended up. We'll never ever know. We don't know if it found the herd. We don't know if it found something else. Ethically thinking back, probably wasn't the right thing to do. We preached that we leave everything be and that we just let nature take its course. And I don't know, there was a group of us that day that decided that that was not the day for that baby elephant. We don't know what happened to it. Anyway, so by the time we pretty much got ready and got done, we walked into the lodge. You can just imagine the state. Walked into the lodge, the 2 of us ready to meet our guests because only 20 minutes had passed. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, none of our vehicles had been packed. None of our cooler boxes had been packed. And we're standing in the front of the lodge, dripping puddles around us. I'm covered from head to toe. My blue uniform was now red and grey and black and blue. My arms and my body and everybody's arms that had wrestled this elephant was full of bruises and piles, and everybody was limping into the lodge, going, "Good afternoon, ready for drive." Somebody at that point in time had figured out that it was probably not a good idea for us to drive, and to the dismay of 2 guides that actually had off on Christmas Day, they had to take our guests. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that story, Otto. I was literally just picturing this elephant, and it is a tough one as guides, to not interfere with nature, and but thank you so much for your story. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So that brings us to our final storytelling, which is really coffee and some tea for some of us. And we're going to spend the rest of the evening around this warm fire because it's pretty chilly in the Klissuri. But tomorrow night is going to be a very special night where we are going to announce who the Safari Guide of the Year 2026 is. And until tomorrow night, good night.